I want to talk a little bit about a new book related to homelessness on the program. Mary Theroux is with us today. I am of the opinion, again, having done this show for decades, that we talk a lot about the homeless problem, and it sort of ebbs and flows, and another task force, another city council meeting, city commission meeting, and just the same stuff happens, and we never really go for a solution. We manage the problem. My favorite example is this ridiculous harm reduction. It's such a California thing, and now we even have that in Fargo. So are there complexities? Yes. But where are there solutions? And our guest, Mary Theroux, has written a book called Beyond Homeless, Good Intentions, of course, but Bad Outcomes, and How Do We Get to Transformative Solutions? Mary, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's bring in the scholars and the experts here, and I've long advocated for, government, you've tried, you failed, let's do a private sector, let's get the churches involved, let's take it outside of government and maybe see what we can do better. The big picture, first of all, related to homelessness, it just keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed it does. And the current policies are just driving it ever upwards. So we've got to make changes. As you said, it's insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
And so, is anybody tracking the numbers? Is anybody, if we continue to go up, then, as you say, this just isn't working. Pump the brakes. Let's do something different. Plenty of good intentions that have, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You got a good intention, great, but where's the data? Is any of these good intentions turning into a solution that works anywhere?
Yeah, and that's the thing is federal policy changed in 2013 to housing first, and related to that, as you mentioned, is harm reduction. And at the time that it was announced, Obama said homelessness would be solved in 10 years. Well, it's now been 12 years, and it's only gone up since that policy change was made. And, it's not just the road to hell is paved with bad and good intentions. It's the death of the people in the streets who are being left in the streets because of this misguided policy. And we really need to make some changes. And many places are making changes, and those are the places to which we need to look, take lessons, and emulate them in our communities.
You mentioned housing first being a top priority. How has that not worked?
So housing first is, first of all, the problem is called homelessness, as if the issue is that people don't have homes. And if you diagnose it that way, then of course the solution is housing. Except, of course, homelessness is not caused by people not having a home. It's caused by a great many things. And housing alone does not solve it. So all of federal funding switched 100% into housing first. Housing first is providing people with permanent supportive housing with no expectations that they will work towards sobriety or employment or regaining their abilities to live independently. It's very dismissive of individuals' permanent supportive housing, as if there's not going to be any change. They're not going to be able to improve their lives. They're just going to be wards of the state for the rest of their lives, stuck in their addictions, stuck in whatever problems put them into homelessness in the first place. Many times it's mental illness. Other times it's other things. The other problem with housing first is you have to be homeless enough to qualify for it. So you have to have been in the streets for at least a year before you qualify for it. There isn't enough of it. So even if you've been in the street for the year, there's no guarantee you're going to get housing. And meanwhile, so many people could be helped with immediate attention. They have a slight problem. They had a little bump in the road that made them lose their apartment or their job, and you could help them on a very short-term basis, and they'd be back on their feet. But we don't have that available to people. It's this ridiculous one-size-fits-all housing first formula, and we have to give it up and start helping people where they are.
Yeah, you mentioned this idiotic policy. I did a ride-along not long ago downtown Fargo just to try and understand it. And one of the individuals said, that the program requires you to prove you're homeless. So imagine that you're homeless. Like how do you prove you've been homeless? And then it
Yeah,
has to be for a year. Like who got in a
right.
room and thought that was a good idea? Just tough out a year, and then we'll think about putting you in there. And then, like you say, then don't address any of the root causes. What a dumb idea.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while you're in the street, your condition is worsening. You may have gotten into the street because you lost your job or were hospitalized and got put out and you didn't have any place to go. But then once you're in the street, the conditions are so distressing that people will start using, even if they weren't using a substance before they got into the street, they'll start self-medicating with drugs or alcohol. And so you leave them in the street for a year and they've got real problems. It's very inhumane and it's very stupid and it's just making our homelessness problem spiral upwards. So we need to stop this, tell the government, forget it, you're really bad at this. We're going to take this into our own hands and use our own well-functioning, um, community services and help people ourselves. And that really works.
So let's talk a little bit about the best part of your book, and that is these transformative solutions. What works?
Well, in every community, there are programs and services that are working quite well. As you mentioned, churches do a good job. There are a lot of great nonprofits that are doing great jobs. Unfortunately, mostly they're helping a few people, 10, 20, 100, whatever. And we've got such a huge problem now that we need solutions at scale. And the best one we found is in San Antonio, Texas. It's been operating very successfully for 15 years. It's called Haven for Hope. And it's a 22-acre campus right next to downtown, at which 100 service providers are located, and they provide every service that people need to address what put them into homelessness in the first place, and also to help people prevent them falling into homelessness, which is even less expensive and better to do. But it's not just the campus. The campus is really the nexus around which the entire community comes together. I mean, every sector, it's the nonprofits, the business sector, the voluntary sector, police, fire, EMS, the hospital systems. And they really work well together in a coordinated way. And that's the key, is to coordinate our efforts. We're doing all these things in silos, wasting resources, not helping people. And the first thing we need to do is just to come together as a community and say, okay, what are the problems that are driving the people in our community into homelessness? What do they need? And it's an array of things. It's not any one thing. These are individuals and they need individualized attention and individualized help. And much of that help is quite simple. Some of it is much more complex when you're dealing with things like mental illness and addiction. But we're spending so much money. We have plenty of resources to address this. We just need to direct those resources to programs that actually produce the outcomes that we want.
You mentioned a couple of things that I'm curious about related to mental health issues and then also addiction issues. What would you say, and that's why I like the San Antonio example, because of the services being available that address the root cause of this, but what percentage of the homelessness people in the homeless population that need help have some sort of addiction and or mental health issue?
Well, talking to people who actually work with the homeless in the streets, the estimates are that it's about 80%. Again, many people will fall into homelessness because of other issues, but once they're in the streets, they'll start using substances to self-medicate. So it's not always that that's the cause of people falling into homelessness, but it is an effect of being homeless in the streets. And then we've got a big problem where a lot of the mental illness is stemming from childhood trauma. We have a real problem with families in this country, and children are being raised in terrible conditions. And I've talked to many people experiencing homelessness. When I hear the stories about their childhoods, I think, there, but for the grace of God go I. If I'd had a childhood like that, I would be in the streets self-medicating with the substances as well. So you have people who are mentally ill in the streets using, again, self-medicating. And then we have drugs today that are so powerful, including marijuana, which is today so powerful that it induces psychosis. So you have a lot of mixed, both addiction and mental illness, and it goes both ways. The addiction driving mental illness, and mental illness driving addiction. So it's a large part of the problem. The good news is Haven and other programs have shown that you can get people in off the streets. You can get them stabilized in their mental illness. You can help them through recovery, and they can achieve their full potentials. They can live productive and happy lives. And we've got to recognize that and stop acting as if they're going to be permanently in a state of need, that the government, our nanny state has to be here to take care of them. And that's just wrong. These are human beings.
I want every bureaucrat that has toiled and tossed and turned on this front to read Beyond Homeless, Good Intentions, Bad Outcomes, Transformative Solutions. And, we'll end where we started. When you describe what you just described, and you say, okay, 80% of homeless or addictive have addictive behavior, you're going to go into housing. That's a recipe for disaster without addressing those causes. And again, I don't know, a fifth grader could figure that out, I think. Meanwhile, we're handing out needles and have crack pipes being handed out and doing harm reduction, allowing people to be a little less distressed, but on the street still, and people dying. Bad, bad, bad on many fronts. Mary Theroux, thank you for the focus on solutions. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a great Thanksgiving.
You as well.